This little pig went to the market. This little pig stayed home. This little pig had roast beef, and this little pig had none. And this little pig went wee, 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 wee all the way home. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to share with you the wisdom of the littlest pig from that 18th century children's poem. But first, we have to examine the other four. The first little pig went to the market. He went, not taken, not forced, but went on his own volition. We can assume that he was going to conduct some sort of commercial transaction to buy, sell, or trade something. You might say he was a capitalist pig. Second little pig stayed home. Well, this clearly implies free will and clearly states that he had a home. This was a pig of means. Third little pig had roast beef. Well, thank goodness it wasn't pork. But seriously, this little pig could afford a diet that many on earth cannot. Which brings us to the fourth little pig, who had none. Now, by positioning this little pig at this place in the poem, we can surmise that he had none of the above. No ability to participate in the market, no home, and certainly no roast beef. This little pig could be a refugee fleeing conflict, or impoverished and living on the streets. Which brings us to the fifth little pig, the littlest pig, who went wee, 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 wee all the way home. Or did he? The wisdom of the littlest pig is, no, not yet. I want to share with you a little bit of the context of how I came to this discovery. Over the last decade and a half, I've had opportunity to travel extensively and to experience things that have been literally life-changing. I've shared meals with impoverished families in the highlands of Guatemala and the northern coast of Honduras. I've stayed in hotels with royalty in Greece. I've worked with former child soldiers, and I've danced with amputees in displaced persons camps in West Africa. I've had high tea in London with the rich, and I've conducted business in New York. And through these experiences and many others, I've had an increasing concern about the plight of the poor. And specifically, the ease by which us are able to differentiate ourselves from them. And so I decided 2 years ago that I would experience some of what they are experiencing. I started by living for 3 months in a tent, not unlike a homeless person living in an abandoned storage container. I didn't shave, I didn't cut my hair, I only bathed once a week. I had the clothes on my back plus a spare pair of underwear and socks. I ate like a person in a homeless shelter. And what did I learn? Being homeless is hard work. You know that guy lying on the bench in a sunny afternoon, as I have done? He may have been exhausted from shivering all night. And I learned that underneath the rough exterior, there's a real person in that homeless person, just like you or me, with their own personal story. A real person who's hurting in some way. The second 3-month experience was living on minimum wage. After rent and utilities were paid, I had $7.50 a day to buy food, clothes, gas, incidentals. I found myself in the grocery store weighing individual single potatoes to see which I could afford. I got so angry when I was in the grocery aisle and I couldn't afford the sale on toilet paper. But I learned that if you buy a bundle of green onions and put them in a glass of water, they'll continue to grow. I know, right? And you can enjoy that same bundle of green onions for over a month. Yes, an individual can survive on minimum wage. But if anything goes wrong, no matter how well you budget, you're in serious trouble. If there's more than one mouth to feed, somebody could go hungry. Speaking of hunger, the final of my 3-month poverty experiences was eating only the rations that one would get at a UN refugee camp. This amounted to just over 2,000 calories per day, consisting of yummy delights such as rice and cornmeal and beans, and a little bit of salt, sugar, and oil. During the first 2 phases, I had lost 20 pounds. But during this 3rd phase of my experiences, I lost an additional 34 pounds. And yes, I have put it back on since. But seriously, eating the same food day in, day out, day after day, I learned to appreciate choice and how extremely luxurious choice really is. I took away 2 things from these 3-month poverty experiences. First of all, a deep depression. The toil and stress of living on the edge wreaks havoc with your mind and body. The other thing I took away was an insight. That but for some blessings, a supportive family, community, a good break here or there, I could have been one of them. And similarly, but for some misfortune or illness or a wrong turn, they could have been me. You see, the littlest pig wasn't going wee all the way home. No. This wise little pig was reminding us, running through the streets, talking to everyone, everywhere. We. Those of us who are blessed to be able to partake in the market or have a home or eat well must remember that there's others who are not so blessed. And we have a responsibility to help those in need. You know, this wisdom points to a truth, a paradigm shift of massive proportions and global implications. The old ruling paradigm of you, me, us, them must go. And a new paradigm of we must take its place. A we that is first and foremost a whole, of which you and I are interconnected individual parts. A global we in which nobody suffers misfortune or enjoys fortune in a vacuum separate from the world around them. There is something connecting us all. Wherever I've gone, whoever I've talked to, underneath the surface differences and learned prejudices beyond nationality, belief, politics, skin color, there's a profound sameness that connects us all. And if you don't want to take the pig's word for it, see what is there to be seen for yourself. An interconnected world where the economy of one region affects others, where the environmental negligence of some affects us all. The sadness we feel if we allow ourselves when there's pain or suffering anywhere. Recognize borders for what they are, artificial constructs. Recognize prejudices and judgments about others as barriers between people, and all barriers between us are created by us. We make this paradigm shift and we will enjoy greater understanding, greater empathy, compassion like you have never seen before. Conflict will be dealt with more collaboratively, focus more on issues and not people. How do you make this shift? You change your mind. You think we first and you act accordingly. You see the world as a whole and interconnected and act upon what you see. Ladies and gentlemen, I urge you, when you leave later today, to do as the littlest pig and go, we, all the way home. Thank you.